This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You are watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Okay, so in regards to the Lawrence Okolie situation, Eddie Hearn has said that the interfering party will be dealt with. Now, it is a little confusing. Does he mean Sky Sports, or does he mean Boxer, or does he mean both? Now, as I said before, it's very, very difficult when you're a promoter, a manager, a network, to know who is under what contract with who and for how long. It's very difficult, and a lot of it does go on hearsay, word of mouth. And that's unfortunate. There should be some kind of database where you can type in Lawrence Okolie, he's managed by this particular company, promoted by this particular company, and this is the term when it expires. Now, it should have a little bit more detail in there as well, like the length of contract, how many fights, all that kind of good stuff. Of course, it doesn't have to hold what money that they're earning, of course not the nitty gritty, but the basics. But it appears that there isn't. So Sky Sports or Boxer reaching out to Lawrence Okolie when, of course, they would have heard that Lawrence Okolie, he said himself that he's out of contract. Of course, they're going to make an approach, aren't they? So when Eddie Hearn says that Sky Sports, Boxer, whoever is going to be dealt with, of course, he's already sent a legal letter as far as we're aware. But it's very, very similar to when Tank Davis, he put out on social media that he's out of contract himself with Mayweather Promotions. Eddie Hearn sent a message to Tank Davis. Mayweather Promotions sent a legal letter to Eddie Hearn with regards of poaching. So that tells me that there is no database, or if there is, then it's not very updated. It's not very clear. Now, here's kind of like the rules, okay? So if a fighter is under a management deal, another manager is not allowed to speak to that boxer until that boxer is officially out of contract. They're not allowed to. Not even allowed to approach them, not allowed to ask them when is your contract up, not allowed to ask them anything, okay? Same with the promoter. If a promoter has a certain fighter, no other promoter can speak to that fighter while they're under contract. But the problem is that you don't really know when they're under contract. You have to take a lot of it from maybe somebody who knows them and whatever else. And as I said before, there are ways around it. Of course there are. Like, I don't know, for example, a promoter or a manager could approach me, for example, if I know a fighter, to say, hey, you know this fighter, can you find out how long that they're under contract for? I can do that because I'm not licensed, but they can't, if that makes sense. Now, of course, they can get in trouble if then it transpires that, I don't know, somebody asked me to do it and they found out that somebody asked me to do it, then of course they could be in trouble. But again, they're going to have to get my word for it to say, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Would I do that? No, of course I wouldn't. But for me, it's always been about the boxer. Always has been, always will be. But of course, managers and promoters, they have their rights as well, where if you have a fighter under contract, that fighter should fulfill that contract. They should. Unless, of course, one side of it is that it's not being fulfilled by one party. Therefore, the best solution would be to end that contract, pay up the fighter, the remainder of that contract, move on, rather than keep them sat on the shelf or whatever. Now, it appears that there seems to be an issue regarding one more fight for Lawrence Okolie for Matchroom, where Lawrence Okolie, as far as he's aware, he's had that one fight. Matchroom saying, well, no, you haven't, because the fight that you think that you've had is an extra fight that you agree to, which is why the terms of your contract, you get X amount of money for these particular fights. That particular fight that you're talking about, you got much less money. That was an extra fight that you agreed to. So that seems to be where the whole issue is coming through. But as far as Eddie Hearn dealing with Sky Sports, dealing with Boxer, again, of course, he does have to be a little bit careful, because ultimately Sky Sports do deal with other matchroom products like darts and things like that. But again, is he necessarily talking about Sky Sports? Maybe he's talking about Boxer. But again, as I said before, I understand why and how approaches are made that can be deemed as illegal as far as the rules are concerned with contracted fighters. Because as I said, as far as I'm aware, there is no database where you can just type in Lawrence Okolie and say that he's currently managed by 258 management up to this point, promoted by Matchroom up to this point, or DAZN, however. Of course, now he's left 258 management anyway, but with Matchroom, it is kind of up in the air. It's a horrible situation, it really is, but these kind of things do go on. They don't usually hit the mainstream, but it does go on quite a lot. But I said, there are ways around it. There are ways around it. If you're unsure if a fighter is or isn't under contract, just ask somebody to find out. There's ways around it, isn't there? But I certainly wouldn't ask the promoter, and I certainly wouldn't ask the manager at all. But hey, anyway, that seems to be the thing. Eddie Hearn is saying that Sky Sports and all Boxer will be dealt with. Okay, drop your thoughts below. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you next video.